This is the true story of my journey from ashes to beauty, my journey from despair to hope, my journey from sadness to joy, my journey from wounding to healing, my journey from brokenness to wholeness. This is the true story of my journey to freedom. When I was young, I carried within my heart the same good hopes and dreams that most young girls carry. Dreams of true love, happily ever after, and a beautiful life. At the age of 20, I believed that those good hopes and dreams were coming true. I wore a lovely white gown. I walked down the aisle and I gave my whole heart to a man that I loved and trusted. He looked into my eyes and he made vows to me that day. He promised to love me and cherish me. He promised to protect me and honor me. And I believed him. Why wouldn't I? But something went wrong. He broke his promises. Instead of love, there was rage. Instead of honor, there was disregard. Instead of protection, there was violence. Instead of cherishing, there was disdain. He told me that he loved me, but the way he treated me when no one else was watching told a different story. I tried to make it better. God knows how I tried. I prayed for him. I pled with him. I tried being more passive. I resolved to be more loving, and I always decided to give it one more try. But nothing worked. Even though things usually got better for a day, or a week, or a month or two, the monster inside the man that I loved always came back. The rage continued. The threats continued. The violence continued, and the pain just wouldn't go away. A year passed, and then 5, and then a decade. Time kept moving forward as it does, and somehow, more than 20 years of my young life passed into oblivion. Years that I could never get back. All the years of trying to make it work, trying to figure it out, trying to make it better. I was so consumed by just surviving my life that I did not realize what my life had become. I knew that it was hell. I knew that it was painful, but I did not realize that I was living in a wasteland. Because I lived in this wasteland for so long, I got used to dying of thirst. I got used to cracked lips and dry skin. I got used to being scorched by the intense heat of the merciless sun. I got used to isolation. I got used to being lonely. I got used to my pain. I got used to lying to my family and my friends. I got used to pretending that everything was just fine. I got used to being beaten down, and somehow I got comfortable. I felt comfortable in a place that was not safe. Comfortable being used and manipulated. Comfortable being controlled and terrorized. Even though everything about my relationship screamed, this is wrong. I could not see it. I didn't want to see it, actually. because I truly believed that there was no way out. And I knew that I was utterly alone. Sometimes everything changes in a moment. That is what happened to me. Everything changed the day that I heard a familiar voice calling to me in the wasteland. I raised my head to the sound of the voice and I saw them. Piercing eyes, tender eyes, the most beautiful eyes that I had ever seen were gazing into mine. The man with the beautiful eyes was weeping. "Jennifer," he said, "I have known you and you have known me since you were a little child. I promised that I would never leave you or forsake you, and I have kept that promise. I have been calling your name for a very long time." He reached out his hand, and I wanted to trust him. I wanted to take a hold of his hand, but I wasn't sure that I should. "Where were you when I prayed?" I asked. "Where were you when I cried? Where were you when I was trembling in fear?" "My child," he said, "I have heard every prayer and I have seen every tear. It has never been my will for you to be abused." He reminded me of all the times I chose to ignore his gentle whisper, the still small voice urging me to run into his safe arms. He brought to mind the counselor who spoke truth into my breaking heart when I was a young bride. "This is not love," she said. "Love does not hurt like this. You are being abused." Then he put my hand on his chest, and I could feel his heart breaking. "I don't want this for you," he said. "I came to set you free. Will you follow me?" I looked around at the wasteland. It was so vast, it seemed so endless. It was all I had ever known. I doubted that I had the strength to leave. "I will be your strength," he said. "The road to freedom is long and it will not be easy, but I will be with you, and with me, nothing shall be impossible for you." At that moment, I felt something I had not felt in a long, long time. I felt hope. Hope mingled with fear. Fear that no one would believe me. Fear that I couldn't make it on my own. Fear for my children. Fear for my life. Despite my fears, I placed my life in his, and my journey began. It started with just one step. Along the way, I poured my heart out to him, just like I used to when I was a little girl. I let all the religiosity go, and I just told the truth. I got real with God, and I got real with myself. I faced the fact that I had been lying to myself for a very long time. My husband volunteered at church. He was friendly to neighbors and kind to his friends. But when the doors of our private home were closed, everything changed. It was confusing and terrifying. So I surmised that there was something wrong with me, and I was ashamed of what was happening to me. So when everyone said that my husband was wonderful, I agreed. When they told me how lucky I was to have such a great guy, I smiled, and then I went home and cried. I even confessed that I was angry with my Heavenly Father for allowing me to experience so much pain. And he just listened. He didn't condemn me or reprimand me. He just listened. The look in his eyes as I shared was so tender, and I felt loved and accepted. There was no condemnation, just love. And I knew that I was safe with him. He never tired of listening to me, and he understood me because he had experienced these same things and he had overcome. He wanted to take my burdens, he said. Words cannot express how it felt to finally be free of the painful things I had been carrying for so long. We talked about the man that I loved, the man who hurt me. Why didn't you answer my prayers? I asked. Why didn't you heal my husband from his rage? Why didn't you make him stop hurting me? I have given all of my children a free will, he said. Each one of them can choose to receive my healing or remain bound. They may choose to repent from sin or continue in rebellion, but it is their choice. All those years, I believed that I wasn't praying hard enough. I thought I needed to have more faith. I believed that God had forsaken me, but I was wrong. He told me that what was happening to me was evil in His sight and an affront to marriage. The truth is, I never deserved hatred and rage. The truth is, it wasn't about me at all. Jennifer, he said, I am love. I am light. In me there is no darkness. How could I tell anyone that it is my will for them to be abused? As he spoke the truth, I could feel my mind being restored. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't stupid. I wasn't weak. I wasn't irrational and overly sensitive. Spending time in His presence transformed my mind and brought life-changing clarity to my tangled thinking. One by one, the lies that had taken root in my soul fell to the ground. I was being healed by love. Something else happened along the way. I started to like myself again. I guess that's what happens when you spend time with someone who not only loves you, but likes you. I found out that he delighted in me. He told me so. I could just be me. I didn't have to earn his love or approval. He gave it freely because he loved me and liked me just as I was. When I didn't feel like talking, he sang songs to me. He sang of his love for me. He called me his beloved, his bride, the apple of his eye and his treasure. Spending time with him made me see that I wasn't inadequate. I wasn't unworthy. I wasn't a piece of trash to be used and discarded. I had value. And for the first time, I knew it. At one point along the journey, he stopped, and he turned, and he looked into my eyes with the most tender concern. "Dear child," he said, "I can't help but notice you haven't let go of everything. I want to take your burdens." I could feel the tears welling up from deep inside, from so much pain. I don't know if I can let these go, I said. I could see that my pain was his pain. He told me that he came to bind up broken hearts, and he asked me if I would let him do this for me. So I decided to trust him, and I gave him my deepest pain. Spending time in his presence eclipsed the hardships and difficulties of the journey. I barely gave a thought to my sore muscles and aching feet. I didn't allow fear to stop me. I just kept my eyes on him, and I kept putting one foot in front of the other, one step at a time. He never left my side. He never let me fall. He never took his watchful gaze off of me. No matter how hard things got or how scary they seemed, I just kept going. And before I knew it, the wasteland was behind me, and the most beautiful thing I had ever seen was right in front of me. "We are here," he said. "Your new life begins there." "Are you coming too?" I asked. "Dear one," he said, "I am that ocean. When you take this step of faith, you will be jumping into me. I will surround you with my love, my presence, my power, and my protection. I will fight your battles. I will be your strength. Leave your wasteland behind. Jump into me." I chose faith. As the cool water washed over my body, I was supernaturally transformed. My victim's spirit was buried in the deep, and I emerged as an overcomer. In that moment, I knew without a doubt that everything he told me was true. He told me that with him, I was stronger than I thought I was. With him, I would overcome every obstacle that lay ahead. He told me that with him, I could do anything, that I could do the impossible. He told me that with him, I could even walk on water. Choosing to trust him that day was the best, most powerful decision I have ever made. Because I made the journey, I discovered that God is love and that I am loved. Because I made the journey, I was healed from wounds that I had been carrying for my entire life. Because I made the journey, I learned that God is bigger than every single thing I feared. Because I made the journey, I discovered a new and glorious shore where I found the acceptance and love of family and friends who believed my true story. They didn't think badly of me. They just felt sad that I had lived in the wasteland for so long. They walked by my side, supported me, and prayed for me, and they bolstered my faith when I was weak. And I found purpose, which is why I am telling you my true story right now. I want you to know that Jesus is real and he does what he said he came to do. I want you to know that life is beautiful. Healing is beautiful. Freedom is beautiful. I made the journey, and so can you.